Hola, buenos dias. Good morning and welcome to Bradley Creek Elementary School. My name's Eddie Anderson and I'm the Assistant Superintendent for Operations and Planning. Today, we're going to take a tour of the school to show you what the building is going to look like under Plan B opening. Before we get started, we're going to go through the screening process.
What is your name, please?
Eddie Anderson.
Okay, I'm going to have to enter you in as other. And we do this so we can trace, okay? So if anything ever happened, we'll be able to trace that you were here during the time, okay?
Okay.
How about you were taking your temperature?
No.
97.6. Good. Okay, for symptoms, have you had, since you've last been at school, or have you developed any symptoms such as fever, chills, shortness of breath, difficulty breathing, new cough, new loss of taste or smell?
No.
Very good. Now, in the last 14 days, have you been around anyone that's been diagnosed with COVID?
No.
Good. Since you left school, were you diagnosed with COVID?
No.
Okay. You have passed your test.
When school's opening, students will go through a very similar screening process, but it won't be here in the lobby. It'll be at the car drop-off or at various points around the school for walkers, bike riders, and bus riders. Come on, and we'll show you what the school looks like. Okay, so that's a great example of the two-way circulation and directional arrows we have in the hallway. Here outside of the restrooms, you can see our social distancing stickers to allow students to wait 6 feet apart. In one of the restrooms, you'll see where we have a common bay of sinks. The middle sink would be blocked off to provide that social distancing if multiple students are using the sinks. One thing I would point out, mentioned in our custodial procedures, that checklists have been developed. Bradley Creek did an excellent job here of posting these so that during the time required, you check off that everything was clean, disinfected, put the time down there and initial it. They did a great job with that. This particular sink has a bottle filling water station. So during Plan B, students are not allowed to drink directly from the water fountains. So this has been closed off to only allow students to fill water bottles. They can bring water bottles from home, or a water bottle or a cup would be provided by the school. So here's another great example of how Bradley Creek used floor markings to identify spots for students to stand while social distancing 6 feet apart. In this case, this allows students to line up again for restrooms, or if you'll come down the hall, the floor markings are also used for students that may be lining up to dismiss in the afternoon. Bradley Creek is using multiple exterior doors for dismissal and arrival so that we don't have a large group of students congregated in one spot. I know a lot of schools are doing similar things, but it may look a little different at each school. Okay, now we're in a classroom. This is a great example of how the school has positioned desks to socially distance students while also providing good circulation and a space for the teacher to work.
So in elementary school, I think we would be wiping down high-touch areas anytime the students are not in the classroom. So at recess, they will be going outside, and there might be another time in which they're outside of the classroom. The teacher does have the materials and supplies to wipe down the tops of desks, door handles, light switches, faucets, or any other high-touch area in the classroom prior to them returning. And then we would, of course, wipe down all of these surfaces at the end of the school day to get ready for the next day.
That's great. And I see we have hand sanitizers in the classroom for maybe some of the older students and adults. I know we will also be providing hand sanitizers on stands throughout the school. And back to our custodial procedures, at the end of the day, each room will be thoroughly cleaned and disinfected, again following the CDC guidelines and using our products on the EPA's list of approved products. We've also purchased some additional equipment. One example is what we call a mister. It's a disinfecting machine that the product is electronically charged. It mists the room and disinfects overnight. So Ms. Sawyer, thank you for being here. I know you're excited for students to return under Plan B.
We are.
So what can students and parents do to prepare for opening of school?
So the best thing that you can do to help your child be ready to return to school is to start practicing the 3 W's with them. So get them used to wearing their mask for extended periods of time so that we can have school safely, waiting 6 feet apart, and washing their hands regularly. So those are the most important things you can do. And then all of our school supply lists are on the website, so you can go and make sure that you have everything that you need for your child to come back into the classroom. And we suggest that you keep everything for school in a backpack in like one place at home so that you have it all ready to go. So when they're working remotely, they can put those things back in the backpack when they're done, and then that way it's all ready to bring to school when it's your turn to come into the building.
That is a great idea. So these are things that students, parents, that our community should be doing now. And it would be really good to start practicing those things before returning to school.
Yeah, very helpful. So, and again, hopefully our children have been practicing those things, but we know at home wearing a mask is not something that they're used to, but in the classroom, to keep everyone safe, we want to make sure that we are wearing them properly. And we're going to take time in the classroom to make sure that students understand how to wear them properly, how long to wash their hands, and waiting 6 feet apart with those traffic patterns that will help them sort of establish those routines early on.
Yeah, that's great. I was just adjusting mine because it slipped down, and there's definitely a process and procedure that you should follow for good mask wearing and care, and when to take it off and when you have to leave it on and wear it. So I'm glad to hear that perhaps on the first day you'll be going through all those things with students and making sure that they understand. Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be a challenge to keep those masks on all day. I know it is for me, but it certainly is what makes the difference.
It does. It makes all the difference. And we want to make sure that students know that school's going to look different, but it's still school. It's still our school and our school community. And we've worked really hard the first 9 weeks to build that community, even online and through Zoom. So if parents will just make sure that the students understand that things may not look the same when they come in the classroom, but our community hasn't changed. All right, thank you.
Right, thank you. So I wanted to talk about meal service just a little bit. When students arrive in the morning, there'll be a grab-and-go breakfast. The theaterette area will be used to serve children as they're heading to their classroom. For lunch will be served to the classroom, and students will eat in their classroom. We know that students don't want to stay in their classrooms all day, and we want to provide those opportunities wherever possible, whether it's eating in the cafeteria, other areas of the building, or even outside on great weather days. So, Dr. Kay, the theaterette, do you have any other plans for the use of this?
Yes, so we're going to be utilizing this area for some small group pullout, possibly, because of the size of the theaterette. We can safely distance students 6 feet apart, and we can have a teacher work with them in this area. So if we need to pull students out for some small group, we would utilize this space, as well as in the morning for our grab and go breakfast. They can come this way, pick up a bag for breakfast, and go directly to their classroom. Again, with social distancing in place, and provided we are not commingling in that time period.
Well, obviously a very big space and very appropriate for those uses, and again, to practice social distancing with students. Thank you. So we've seen a classroom. What other activities will be available for students during the day?
So although it will look different, students will be going outside for recess. They will also be going outside for PE. At Bradley Creek, we will have specials, art and music and library in the classrooms, but they will be going to them and offering those specials in the classrooms. They will be able to utilize the library and checking out books, but they would not be accessing the library in the same way they did. We will also be using a lot of outdoor learning spaces. We have an outdoor classroom and a picnic pavilion, and we'll be utilizing those spaces on nice days to do teaching and learning.
So a lot of the same activities, maybe a little different, but
Yeah.
then some new activities as well.
I think that it will look a little different, but such as Ms. Sawyer had mentioned, a lot of it will be the same in that our community will be the same. We will be working together and just accessing maybe some different spaces that we hadn't accessed before.
That's great. Thank you. We're now in the Dolphin Cove, used as an isolation space for students or staff that may not have passed the screening process, presented symptoms, or if during the school day they presented symptoms. This is where the nurse would take them at that time. So I know students will be screened in the morning, but is there a process in place if a student presents symptoms during the school day?
Yeah, so if a student presents symptoms during the school day, the teacher would call our school nurse. Our school nurse would report to the classroom. If they did have a fever or presented those symptoms, she would bring them to this location, and they would wait here for their parent or guardian to pick them up. Here they are also spread out more than 6 feet apart should we have multiple students that are waiting. And we can clean and disinfect this space at the end of the school day easily with all of the hard surfaces.
So thank you for joining us at Bradley Creek Elementary School. I hope you can see that the staff here are not only excited to welcome students, but they're prepared to welcome students and ensure their health, safety, and well-being. This is only one example. Each school is different. Social distancing depends a lot on the size of the school, the size of the space, the shape of the space, and the furniture that's used in the space. So each school may have a little different process and a little different setup, but the bottom line is the same, and that is to ensure the safety and health and well-being of all students. So again, thank you.